transitional phase between the Paleolithic and Neolithic, where the Paleolithic people were basically depending on hunting gathering. However, Neolithic featured with the origin or introduction of agriculture or agro-based economy, as well as a type of settled way of life. So this is the connecting link which used to connect. So therefore, the characteristic features of Mesolithic is somehow linked to both the Upper Paleolithic culture as well as to the Neolithic culture. So now we'll discuss how it is linked, how it connects the Paleolithic culture and Neolithic culture. As we discuss, Paleolithic was basically present during the Pleistocene geological epoch, and Holocene usually began around 8,000 years BP and at the time of Holocene epoch, and this Holocene includes both the Mesolithic and Neolithic. So, in Upper Paleolithic, the blade tools are already introduced. The prehistoric people, those who are living during this particular time of Pleistocene era or the Upper Paleolithic cultural periods, have already started preparing different type of blade artifacts by using pressure flaking technique. But difference between the Upper Paleolithic culture and Mesolithic culture is that even if the tool typologies are almost same both in the Upper Paleolithic culture and Mesolithic culture, but the sizes of stone tool, basically the blade tools, were differing from one to another. During the time of Upper Paleolithic culture, the blade tools are comparatively thicker and bigger in size, which are usually more than 3 centimeter in length. But in case of the Mesolithic culture, the blade tool size are comparatively smaller in nature. And the varieties of microliths are more during the Mesolithic culture. Otherwise, from the climatic condition point of view, there was a slight difference between the Upper Paleolithic culture and Mesolithic culture. And because of that, the evidences of Upper Paleolithic culture are not found everywhere, as the Middle Paleolithic culture and Mesolithic culture are reported from various places. Sometimes also these are missing. So here we will discuss the environmental condition of the Holocene period and its impacts, its role in Mesolithic time period. Also, we will discuss the tool typology of Mesolithic culture and their technique of manufacturing. And we'll discuss the two broad Mesolithic cultural types from the European context, that is the Meglemontian and Turdensian culture. These are the two Mesolithic cultural period of Europe. So then we'll discuss the Holocene ecology, and in this context also we will discuss the Mesolithic culture from Indian context, the major excavated sites of India and their findings and their findings, and finally we'll discuss the Mesolithic art as we discussed earlier during the Paleolithic art. So these are the content what we are going to discuss, and towards the ends we will learn about the cultural period flourished in Europe, especially during post-Pleistocene period. Post-Pleistocene period, it means the Holocene period, where already we do have biological evolution of Homo sapiens sapiens, or the developed human being, or the present human being. Also, here we will discuss the cultural ecology of Mesolithic time period from European context as well as from the Indian context. So let's discuss the cultural period. As we know, this Mesolithic period is the transitional phase between the Paleolithic and Neolithic, which found towards the beginning period of Holocene era and evident along with the Homo sapiens sapiens. So here when we'll discuss, we'll see that the environmental condition during this particular Mesolithic time period is playing a very important role for change in socio-cultural life, change in economic life, etc. So Mesolithic or Middle Stone Age culture, where usually the prehistoric people were using very small size artifact tool, and because of that the tool type of Mesolithic are called microlith. Micro means very tiny, very small, and lithic means stone. So particularly when we are discussing about the Mesolithic culture in European context, one can separate this Mesolithic culture from the Paleolithic culture as well as from the Neolithic culture based on two things. So usual questions used to arises in our mind that if we are saying the Mesolithic, how it could be different from the Paleolithic and Neolithic. As we are aware that when the culture is changing from one area to another area or from one stage to another stage, some of the cultural elements, some of the cultural traits used to remain as it is, whereas some other cultural elements continue from one cultural period to another cultural period with slight modification. Sometimes the regional impact is there, sometimes there is a complete modification, complete change in their culture, which includes the stone tool types and technology also. So when we are separating this Mesolithic culture, especially from the European context, the archaeologists separate it on the basis of two evidences. One is the geological evidences, as well as another is the paleontological characteristic features. Though, if we'll discuss then how these two elements, particularly the geological and paleontological, helps to separate the Mesolithic from the Paleolithic. Number one, the geological. As we discuss, the geological law of superimposition, which help us to study to know the formation of different layers, different strata based on the chronology, based on the time. So when the archaeologists used to study the formation of layer, used to study the presence of different cultural material on the surface, either in the open air surface or inside the cave surface, and their possible causes factors of formation. During that time, used to see, they used to notice that the bottommost layer, which form comparatively in early stage, is older than the latest one. So this geological characteristic feature, the geological formation of Earth's surface, help us to know the time period of Mesolithic period, which is comparatively later than the Paleolithic period. Because if we are getting the stratigraphic deposit of Pleistocene and Holocene epochs, or we are studying the Paleolithic culture and Mesolithic culture, in case of their original context, we see that the Paleolithic evidences are always noticed, always present at the bottom and upper part. We used to see the Mesolithic one. That is from the cultural deposit point of view. But if we see from the stratigraphic deposit or geological formation point of view, during the Pleistocene time, especially if we'll take the example from the Indian context, the formation of laterite, or what locally called in Odisha is Mankada Pathara, are formed during the Pleistocene time. And above that lateritic deposit, most of the places we used to see a thick deposit of secondary laterite, that is called the morum. And this is the time period of the end part of Pleistocene epoch. So this laterite deposit formed during the Pleistocene time. That's why we used to see the presence of prehistoric tools, especially the Paleolithic tools, in the context in along with the this laterite deposit. And above that, a deposit of soil, particularly silt, and most of the places the red silt, which is comparatively fertile, and nowadays people are using for agriculture purpose. That particular silt deposit started forming above this loose laterite, that is also called the secondary laterite, towards the beginning part of Holocene epoch. So what happened during the Pleistocene time? We are having geological evidences of formation of primary laterite and secondary laterite. Primary laterite means the stone, the more the mankara patro, what we are calling in Odia, and the secondary laterite are called the morum or loose laterite. These formed during the Pleistocene time. That's why the Paleolithic tool usually we used to see along with that deposit if the sites are not disturbed. But in case of disturbed site, it may be because of natural process or cultural process. Sometimes these materials are also present in other sites, other areas. But in original context, it is not possible to get the Neolithic tools, Neolithic artifact from this particular deposit of Pleistocene, and that is the laterite deposit. So that's why, on the basis of this deposit, either the geological deposit or the stratigraphy or geological layer, one could able to distinguish from the Pleistocene to the Holocene in broader way, or one could able to distinguish from the Upper Paleolithic of prehistoric time to the Mesolithic, because till Upper Paleolithic it is coming under Pleistocene, and Mesolithic is the beginning point of the Holocene era. So on that basis, one could able to distinguish from the Paleolithic to the Mesolithic. This is one side. If we'll move to the opposite side, the difference between Mesolithic and Neolithic, that is based on their nature of habitation, type of economy, type of tool, and the technology used for preparing different kind of tools in the nature of living habitation. So as we are discussing, till Mesolithic time, the prehistoric people are basically depending on natural rock shelters. Rock shelter means the natural rock or stone having a kind of curved shape which provides shelter accommodation for the prehistoric people, and that's why that is called natural rock shelter. In that time, basically the prehistoric people were depending on fishing economy for their subsistence, for their survival. Mainly they were exploiting their local resources. So main occupation was fishing, and because of fishing, their tool typology was different, technology was different, the size of tools were also different. Mesolithic culture is also known for the microlithic tools or microliths. Microliths, micro means small, tiny, and lithic means stone, where they were basically using a small size stone tool. But it does not mean that they were not using the other tool which are comparatively bigger in size. No, it was not like that. Even evidences of using chopper, evidences of using hand axes, we are getting from the Mesolithic period. But the size of those choppers, size of hand axes are comparatively very smaller in nature, and the percentage of these findings, particularly heavy duty tools, these choppers or hand axes, are very very less. So dominant tool typology of Mesolithic is the microlithic, the blade tool. And if we'll see from the Neolithic It is also differing on the basis of stone tool typology and technology. As we are discussing in Mesolithic time, basically they were using the blade tool, which are very micro, very small in nature, and the blade are basically converted to different kind of tool, different type of artifact by retouching its different sides, different edges. From these blades, they prepared crescent, lunate, which are having almost half rounded shape or moon shaped, half moon shaped artifact, usually used in composite way for cutting the grasses, the paddy. They were also preparing the burin, the points, basically used for drilling or making hole on the bones, making holes on different kind of plant remains tree to extract the juice or liquid material present inside the bones or plant remains, or sometimes also used to drill different kind of hard fruits or nuts. Apart from that, they were also using the scraper. They were also preparing the arrowhead out of these blades. After retouching the lower part, they are preparing a hafting part, and that hafting part was fixing along with the bamboo rod or bamboo stick or any kind of straight wooden rod, and using it the arrow or spear. So these are different kind of tools which are prepared from the blades, especially during the Mesolithic time period. And most of these tools were not introduced during the Paleolithic time. So now coming to the Neolithic period, how this Neolithic is different from the Mesolithic on the basis of stone tool types. So here we are discussing during the Mesolithic time, stone tools are very tiny, very small in size, and usually used for fishing or hunting purpose or cutting different kind of crops or grasses. So these were the basic use. But on the other way, we'll discuss elaborately in next class about the characteristic feature of Neolithic period when human being started introducing a new variety of tool, because that is the time period of origin of agriculture, and for agriculture these kind of microlithic tools were not suitable. But it does not mean that during Neolithic time these microlithic tools were not present. It was present, but the percentage of use of particular Neolithic tool which introduced during the later part of Holocene era were comparatively more in number. So, on the basis of subsistence, on the basis of food producing technology, on the basis of domestication of animals or animal husbandry, this Neolithic culture is different from the Mesolithic culture. And another major characteristic feature of Neolithic is the use of ceramics. Of course, in some sites, the use of ceramics were also evident towards the later period of Mesolithic, but those ceramics were not fired and were basically made by hand, handmade ceramic cement pots. So we'll discuss in later in detail. So based on that geological evidences or stratigraphic deposition, this Mesolithic culture differ from the Paleolithic, and based on the nature of economy, type of subsistence, type of stone tools, or the domestication of plants and animals, and preparation of huts close to their agricultural land. This Mesolithic culture is also differs from the Neolithic culture. So here we discuss the name of some microlithic tools, which are maybe the scraper, as we discussed in last class. Scrapers also having different types based on their technique of manufacturing, based on their shape. As we told, the scrapers may be divided into different types like round scraper. Round scraper means the working edge, the cutting edge of scraper is present all around its surface. Also, having side scraper means the working edge is present either at its one side or the both side. And based on that also it is to divide into two types: single sided scraper, double sided scraper. Sometimes the working ends of scraper are present at its one end, one edge, or one side. And based on that also, these scraper are called the end scraper. Sometimes during Mesolithic time, the size of scrapers are also very small and usually looks like a thumb. Of, and because of that, some scraper are also known as the thumbnail scraper. So these are the different varieties of scrapers used during the Mesolithic time. But the size of these Mesolithic scrapers are comparatively smaller than the scraper of Upper Paleolithic period, what we discussed in our previous class. Upper Paleolithic scrapers are comparatively big in size, and comparatively crude. Working areas are not that much fine. So during Mesolithic times, the evidences of comparatively bigger size tools are also present, and which are called the heavy duty tool. Heavy duty tool means the stone tool type of comparatively bigger size, which were used during different stages of Paleolithic culture, which may include the chopper, index, etc. But the size of these chopper and indexes are comparatively smaller than the chopper and indexes of lower Paleolithic or middle Paleolithic time. But only the shape is there, function is same, but size used to differ. Sometimes also the raw material also used to differ. In Paleolithic time, usually chopper and indexes are prepared either from the quartz and quartzite in the raw material. But during the Mesolithic time, the same tool type, what we are calling is the heavy duty tool. Shape is like same chopper, shape is like same like index, but size is very small and raw material also used to differ. Usually during Mesolithic time, this chopper and indexes are prepared also by using different types of chart raw material, which are very common for microlithic tools. So what difference we are getting? Even if typology is same, but raw material is changing, differing, and the size is differing. So that is one side. And this microlithic tool, either the blade, bladelet, point, burin, the core, lanceolate, lunate, triangular, trapeze, rectangular, or any other microlithic tools used by the Mesolithic people are having different importance. All these tools are not used for same purpose. What we discuss in previous classes during the Paleolithic time, we discuss chopper basically used for chopping purpose, or the hand axes used for different purpose like hunting and digging. But here, when we're discussing about the microlith, especially from the Mesolithic context, these are the tools which are used for some specific purpose, and that's why they prepare a specific kind of tool by following a specific technique. So these tool types sometimes use individually or one at a time, sometimes it composite manner. Take an example: the arrowhead, the spearhead. What the Mesolithic people were using, they were using in individual capacity. Means one arrowhead is fixed along with the long rod and used for hunting purpose. Same thing for the spearhead. But there are some tools like crescent, lunette, triangles, trapeze. These tools were basically used in composite manner for better effectiveness. Take an example: for cutting grass or cutting any kind of paddy or cutting the skin of an animal. If we are using a very small piece of microlith, or we may specify the blade, it might be possible to fulfill the requirement or cutting the grass or the paddy or the skin, but that will definitely take a longer period of time. That's why the Mesolithic denizens, they invented a new technology where they use this microlithic tool in a composite way. Suppose if we are using one blade or one lunette or one crescent for cutting grass or any kind of paddy or any kind of crops, it will take a longer time because we have to cut one by one after another. So that's why it is more time consuming process. But if we fix those blades, crescents, or lunettes in a composite way, where we will fix more than one number of such kind of artifact, either in a wooden or bone handles, and use, it will give the better result in a more effective way. Take an example. For that, what the Mesolithic people are doing, they are collecting a maybe bone or antler having a curved or rounded shape, or maybe a branches, a small branch of tree having the two curved lines, and they were making a groove on its one surface, a line. They were engraving a line at one surface and fixing the blades or the burins or the crescent in a linear way on that particular group and using it to cut the grass or the paddy or any other material. So what happened if we'll compare the modern day sickle, what the farmers, the cultivators are using to cut their crops. The shape of these microlithic tools fixed on the bone or carved wood is almost same like the sickle. Sickle means a kind of weapon used for cutting the grass, which possesses a iron blade having a thin edge where different kind of zigzag or denticulated teeth are present or zigzag edges are present which help for cutting the grasses. So if the microlithic tools are fixed in a sickle shape object, maybe of wood or bone, and used for cutting, it will help to cut in a better way or in a more effective way. So these are the some kind of use of artifact in a composite way. So the evidences of these microlithic tools are found from all over the world, and the number is quite higher than the stone tool types of other cultural period. So here now we'll proceed to the examples of this Mesolithic culture, both from the European context and from the Indian context. So it was Clark in 1980 who analyzed, studied the ecological niches, the ecological habitat, the ecology of Mesolithic people from the European context to know, to re-establish the environment of Mesolithic people. And based on his studies, he divided the European Mesolithic culture into two divisions, two parts. One is Meglemosian and another is Tardenosian. And different between these two culture is based on their ecological condition, ecological setup. The first one, that is the Meglemosian culture, that is named after the type site of Meglemose, means the big bog located in Denmark. The big bog means the place having dominance of forest. That's why the Meglemosian culture is also known as the forest culture. Forest culture, where the dependence of local forest ecology was comparatively more in number. More in number. So the evidences found from this particular cultural period, that is the Meglemosian culture period, includes the large quantity of faunal remains or animal remains, including the mammals, the birds, dogs, geese, swan, etc. So the evidences, maybe the bones, skeletal remains, the skulls of these birds are highly present during the Meglemosian culture. Along with that, also the evidences of some some wild animals like the wild ox, the deer, the wild pig, the road deer, etc. So these wild animals and birds are highly exploited by the Megalosaurian Mesolithic people of Europe. So the evidences of these animals and birds are present along with the microlithic tools. So along with the evidences, there are some kind of fossilized evidences which includes the nuts, berries, and different kind of fruits are also found along with these microlithic tools. So here the dependence of local ecology, local forest by the Megalosaurian people was quite high. So they are basically depending on this forest ecology, local forest ecology. So if we'll see the size of this population was comparatively very small. They are living in small groups, small bands. The social group was very small in nature, and they are basically the migrant people, and they are changing their place of habitation from time to time. And this change of place was seasonal in variety. Seasonal means in a particular time period, maybe during the rainy season, winter season, or summer, they used to stay in one place, and with the change of weather, change of the climatic condition, they move to another place. And again, with the change of climatic condition, they used to come back to the place where they were living earlier or close to that place. So that's why they are also called the seasonal migrant. So these evidences of stone tool of Megalosaurian cultural periods also found along with such kind of evidences, basically the organic materials relating to the various type of plants and animal remains. So what are the evidences? Evidences are stone tools, stone artifacts. Evidences are plant remains. Evidences are animal remains, which indicates about their more dependency about their local ecology. So these wooden objects may be used for fire, used for preparing different kind of hunting weapons, used for preparing navigation purpose, or used for any other purpose like preparation of their temporary huts or transportation of hunted animal from one place to another place, or these animal remains like bones and antler may be used for preparing tools, points, axe, adze, spearhead, etc. are the indicator of their dependency upon their local ecology, local forest, local climate. So here in Megalosaurian culture, we are getting more closer relationship to their nature. But on the other sides, if we'll see the Tardenoisian culture of Europe, it is different from the Megalomantian culture. This particular Tradition culture is named after the site Fere Tradenosis, a site located in France, which was for the first time discovered by Mortillet in 1896. So here the cultural evidences relating to the Mesolithic culture are mainly found from the France, and the dependence of nature is slightly different from the previous variety of culture. Here, the site is located close to the coastal area, that is the coastal area compared to the plain area, where the forest resources are different from the previous one. The settlement sites of this particular cultural periods are more close to the animals, stone tools, which are not usually noticed in the previous culture. So this culture is slightly different, slightly we may say that it is slightly advanced than the previous one. And it is having somehow towards links to the Neolithic cultural period or close to the agriculture or subsistence, where the dependence of hunting and gathering way of life is comparatively less. So in the first one we discussed, they are more depending more and more on the forest resources, but here they are having also some kind of advanced economy and also close to the agro-based activities. Agro-based activity. That's why the presence of axe, adze, chisel, picks, which are basically used for digging out the roots and timber, tilling the lands, are found along with the microlithic tools, which are usually not common during the early period. So this is the difference between the Tradition and Megalomantian site. So first one is comparatively more primitive, the Megalomantian site, and the Tradition site is comparatively more developed, more advanced. So if you see the time period and based on the available dates, we'll see the Mesolithic period of Megalomantian is usually from the 10,000 year BC to 8,000 year BC. However, the time period of Tradition cultural period is from the 8,000 years to up to 5,400 year BC, along with plus minus of 350 years. So means the date of these two cultural periods also indicates that one is comparatively older than the another one, and the use of tool typology, available evidences, and the environmental condition of that particular period also indicates that the Tradition cultural period of Europe is comparatively younger than the Megalomantian cultural period. Megalomantian culture is comparatively older, which began towards the early part of Holocene epoch. So this is the difference between the Megalomantian and Tradition culture. So now we'll proceed the cultural ecology, the ecological condition of this particular time period. As we are discussing that at the initial period, the dependency on forest ecology was more. They are more exploiting the forest-based products, the plants, the birds, and the water-living creatures during the early phase. But towards the later phase, what we are calling the Tardonosian culture, that time dependency of forest-based economy was comparatively reduced and moved towards the agro-based economy. So at the earlier period, they are more closer to their local environment, local ecology, more dependable on their local environment. But later, it gradually reduced and they introduced, they moved towards the agro-based life. And later, during the Neolithic time, mainly they depends on such kind of agricultural activity. So the evidences of post-Pleistocene climatic change, or what we are calling the early Holocene ecology, or post-glacial climatic change, are present from various places. Why we are calling this particular Holocene culture or the Mesolithic period is the post-Pleistocene or post-glacial culture? Because during the Pleistocene time, we discuss about the presence of four major glacial period. That is the Gunj, Mindel, Ridge, and Ore. And within those four glacial period, the Pleistocene people were also experiencing three interglacial period. That is the Gunj-Mindel interglaciation, Mindel-Ridge interglaciation, and Ridge-Orme interglaciation. That's why this particular Holocene period, Holocene geological epoch, is also known as the post-Pleistocene or post-glacial geological epoch. So during the time, the climatic condition change, the temperature increase, and because of increasing temperature, the deposited ice started melting, and later which caused for covering maximum part of Earth's surface with water bodies, and which resulted in formation of fishes and other water living creatures. So the evidences of this climatic change during the post-Pleistocene era, or what we are calling the post-glacial era or the early Holocene period, are evident from the grassland ecology, where the plant remains increase, grasses increase due to the melting of ice cap during the during this particular time period. So these are the evidences what we used to see from the grassland ecology. So now we'll move towards the Indian Mesolithic culture. Now we are very much clear about the Mesolithic period and how it differ from the Paleolithic to the Neolithic, and the difference between two European Mesolithic culture based on their dependence on their local resources, local ecology. So we discuss about this part. So in continuation to it, we'll discuss about the Mesolithic culture from the Indian context. So now no need to repeat the tool typology, tool technology, or the time period. It is almost same in India also. And as we know that in Indian context, this particular human past or prehistory culture or the time period before history is divided into different stages. What we are presently calling Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic. But this part is also named as the Stone Age culture, Bronze Age culture, and Iron Age culture in three age system. So where Stone Age culture means the use of stone tools, stone artifact, and the Bronze Age culture, what we are calling the Chalcolithic period, Chalco and Lithic. Chalco means metal. That is called the Bronze Age culture. Example maybe we can cite from the Harappa and Manda. And the third one is the Iron Age culture, means introduction of iron. That is the early history or emergence of complex society. So that we already discussed. So this particular culture again we are dividing this Stone Age culture into Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, and we are discussing now Mesolithic culture. And like European context, the evidences are also found from different parts of India, both from the northern side as well as southern side. So these evidences are found by the different scholars. Some of the Mesolithic sites are discovered, reported. However, some others are also excavated by different archaeologists at different period of time. So here we'll discuss about some of the major discoveries relating to this Mesolithic culture of India, which includes the discovery of microlithic remains, microliths, stone tools by Carley of Archaeological Survey of India. We can discuss the evidences found from the Mirzapur district of Uttar Pradesh by Archaeological Survey of India. So, this discovery of microlithic tools, especially from the Indian context, are done at the individual capacity by different archaeologists as well as from the institutional capacity also by different organizations like Archaeological Survey of India, Anthropological Survey of India, and different universities So here, if we'll discuss the nature of archaeological sites in India, we get the evidences of this microlithic site, Mesolithic sites from the Rajasthan, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Odisha, Andhra Pradesh, Kerala. In most part of the India, we used to have plenty numbers of prehistoric sites, especially relating to the Mesolithic culture. And out of those sites, some are excavated in a very systematic way and which provides us the chronology, the typology, their type of subsistence, etc. So some of the major excavated archaeological sites of India which provides some kind of evidences related to the presence of Mesolithic culture includes the Tilwara Bagar of Rajasthan. Bagar is one of the important Mesolithic sites of Rajasthan. Then Langnaj, the important sites of Gujarat, where we used to get the evolution of culture from different phases. Where we used to see the presence of microlithic tool. Also, we used to see the evidences of agriculture in later period. So, along with the lung nose, other Mesolithic sites which are excavated from Gujarat includes Hirpura, Amrapur, Tarsang, etc. So these are some important sites, but among those, Langnaz is very important Mesolithic site, not from the Gujarat, but also from the Indian context, where we used to see the evolution of culture from the Pleistocene to the Holocene. Similarly, from the Maharashtra, the important Mesolithic site which was excavated includes Patne, Hatkomba. From Uttar Pradesh, we are having the most important site is Sarai Nahar Rai. Sarai Nahar Rai is one of the important Mesolithic sites, and next to that important site is the Chopani Mando. So along with the other sites, these are two important sites. Nowadays, you will have the hundreds of sites from different states. But these are the some important and excavated Mesolithic sites. Later we'll discuss their stratigraphy, their tool composition found from this area. Similarly, from Madhya Pradesh, central part of India, the most important excavated Mesolithic site is Bhimbatika. We'll discuss at length about these particular sites. And this Bhimbatika sites is famous for Mesolithic rock painting, and in 2003 this particular site is declared as the World Heritage Site, and this is the only World Heritage Site of India which provides us evidences of rock painting. None other than these sites are declared the World Heritage Sites. So we'll discuss about the Bhimbetka. Besides Bhimbetka, we are also having some Mesolithic site is of Madhya Pradesh include Adamgod, Panchmari, Bagar, Ghagria, etc. Similarly, in Odisha, Mesolithic sites are reported from different parts of northern Odisha, western Odisha, and southern Odisha. And some of the Mesolithic sites includes the Jasipur, even the in Dhenkanal, in Sundargod, etc. And among these sites, some are excavated by different universities, by the Archaeological Survey of India. So we will go to that. Then West Bengal, Birbanpur is one of the excavated Mesolithic sites. Similarly, from the Andhra Pradesh, we are having some excavated site located on different river basins. Karnataka, the important excavated Mesolithic site include Sangankalu. So these are some important excavated sites. But apart from these, we are having hundreds of explored or reported Mesolithic sites. So we'll discuss some of the important characteristic features of these excavated sites of our Indian subcontinent. One is the Teri, located in Tamil Nadu, which was discovered by father of Indian prehistory, that is Robert Bruce Foote. Robert Bruce Foote. So he found these evidences just above the upper Pleistocene geological epoch. As we are discussing, Mesolithic is the early phase of Holocene which developed after the upper Pleistocene. So these evidences from the Teri Valley sites of Tamil Nadu were reported by Robert Bruce Fruit above the upper Pleistocene geological time period. So which indicates about the post-glacial period, presence of post-glacial temperature in these particular sites. Also, it indicates about the number of increasing percentage of rainfall as well as the change of climatic condition or increasing temperature. So one side temperature increasing, rainfall increasing. So these are the some kind of geological sorry the environmental changes evident from the terry sites by Robert Bruce Fruit from its excavation. Similarly, we'll move to another important Mesolithic sites from the northern part of India, that is the Sarai Nahar Rai. Sarai Nahar Rai is located close to the Pratapgarh, that is the what we call uh, on the basin of Ganga. So close to the Banaras and Aligarh in that area. So where the evidences of Mesolithic period are reported from the excavation, and these evidences of stone tools are found along with different type of bones, bone tools, hooves, human skeletons, human burials, etc. So it was Dr. Ojha, a faculty member of Allahabad University, who for the first time reported this site and later excavated by the same university by the Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology, which evidence about the presence of Mesolithic period where the people were using depending more and more on the animal remains, because the bone remains of different kind of birds, different kind of hunted animals indicates about its presence. Similarly, we'll proceed to Lung Nose. It is one of the important Mesolithic site of Gujarat, which also indicates about the presence of arid climate. Hyper arid climate. Arid means dry climate. Towards the end of upper Pleistocene time period, or towards the terminal phase, towards the end part of the Pleistocene. And the evidence of this particular Langnaj site includes the thick vegetation, thorny bushes, plants, grass, which were very much helpful for grazing animal, for eating purpose. So this particular green land was very much helpful for animals, and because of that, the Langnaj Mesolithic sites evidence the presence of bones, skeletal remains of different wild animals like cheetal, wild boar, jackal, fox, mongoose, porcupine, deer, etc. So the bones of these wild animals were frequently evident from the Langnaj site, and also from the stratigraphic context from the excavation. And these particularly animal remains are found along with the plant remains or the seeds, grains remains of different plants, different grasses, different bushes. It indicates presence of a particular climatic condition which was very much favorable for growing of such kind of animals and plant remains at that particular time period. But the excavation material of Langla's site does not stop along with these evidences. So these are the evidences which found from period 1, the bottommost layer. Above that, the evidences of later cultural period, including the metal age culture, are also reported from this excavation, which includes different kind of stone tool of Neolithic and post-Neolithic cultural period, some kind of copper knives, etc. So the phase 1 of this particular sites, which continued about 5000 year BC to almost 2008 years or 3000 year BC, provides some kind of clue, some kind of evidences related to use of microliths, use of microliths in dominant way, along with the animal remains in plenty number. So there are a plenty available animal remains, plant remains, and microlithic tools from the excavated long notch sites from the phase 1. Phase 1. After that, or we may say just above to this phase 1, the phase 2 indicates some kind of artifact relating to later period, that is the Neolithic period. We'll go to that one in detail during our next class when we will discuss about the Neolithic period. But here we must have to know that this particular phase 1, what we discuss about the presence of microliths along with the bone tool and plant tool, there were also some kind of evidences found from this excavation relating to their habitation, relating to preparation of different kind of small huts, the floor of houses, the hard floor, stone paved floor of the houses, the wattle walls or sheltered behind the windbreak, and the disposal of dead or the burial, which indicates about their place of settlement, place of habitation, their type of burial or type of disposal of the dead body. So these dead bodies are usually found within their settlement area, close to their hearts, and usually extended from east to west. Because in later period we will discuss about the disposal of dead, the evidences we are getting from the prehistoric time, and here we are discussing especially in the context of long nose, they were extending from east to west. But later on, we'll discuss during the megalithic time, we'll see some kind of variation in other sides. And particularly in eastern India, central India, we'll see it extend from the north to south. That will come later. So the second phase, which continued approximately 2008 year BC to 600 BC is the time period when the people of Longnaz were not only depending using the stone tool or bone artifact, but also introduce some kind of metal objects, ornaments, terracotta objects, clay, pots, etc. So this particular time period is comparatively advanced, developed than the phase one Mesolithic period. So second period is the time period which is comparatively advanced or developed from the phase one. Phase one, what we told, that approximate time period is from 5,000 years to 2,000 years, 800 BC, based on the available dates. But second phase, which includes both the ceramic remains, pots, along with the stone artifacts and animal bones and ornaments, is quite recent in terms of its cultural development. Similarly, the last phase, what excavated from the Longnan site, provides us the decline of microlithic industry. Of course, in phase two, when we are having evidences of use of ceramics, pots, introduction of metal, copper, that time the continuity of microlithic was there in a reduced form. The use of microlithics was comparatively reduced, and the metal ceramics are introduced. But after that, if we see towards the 600 BC to 200 AD, which is categorized as the phase 3, that time the use of microlithic was reduced, and in place of microlithic, the glass or glass beads, ornaments, the bricks, fire clay, fire pots are introduced and used in a dominant way. So, in summing up, if we'll see the excavated material from this particular site, Longnaz, we are getting a stratigraphic deposit which is mainly divided into three phases: the phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. Phase 1 is located at the bottom part, phase 2 at the middle part, and phase 3 at the top part. Where the phase 1 is evident the use of stone tool and bone tool in a dominant way. Phase 2, the use of stone tools, particularly the microliths, reduce gradually, and the metal, particularly copper and ceramics, are introduced. And the time period is comparatively different, and we can compare to the Neolithic or later period of other parts of the area. And third phase is the dominantly use of your glass beads and introduction of iron. So phase 1, we are mainly getting the bone tools, stone tool. Phase 2, we are getting the evidences of introduction of metal, that is a copper, use of ornaments, beads, terracotta beads. And phase 3, the introduction of iron, introduction of glass beads. So this is about the phases. So here If we are discussing from the microlithic point of view, Mesolithic culture point of view, from these particular sites, we are getting evidence mainly from the phase one. And out of the total number of excavated evidences, up to 50%, almost 45 to 55% are the microlithic tools, which are not present at that much during the later period of time. The percentage of copper tools during phase 2 is quite significant, and similarly the presence of iron tool during phase 3 is also very important. So we are not going to discuss the phase 2 and phase 3. Our focus from this particular sites is phase 1, that is the presence or dominantly use of microlithic tool, dominant use of microlithic tools, and the use of different kind of bone tool, antler, etc., along with the knowledge of constructing, preparing small huts, and the disposal of the dead body close to their settlement, close to the area of their settlement. So these are some kind of evidences what we found from the long notch excavation. So coming to the Bhimbetka, that is the most important Mesolithic sites of central India excavated by V.N. Mishra. So here we are getting different kind of evidences relating to the development of prehistoric culture in this particular site. So let's proceed to the Bhimbetka. Bhimbetka, the name itself indicates about some kind of linkage to Hindu mythology. But the name Bhimbetka, which means or which is a combination of two words, Bhim, Batika means the place of habitation of Bhima, a mythological character of Mesolithic time period. Sorry, of Mahabharata time period. Mahabharata, the Hindu mythology. So here, when we are discussing about the Bhimbetika, we used to see the presence of different cultural material, cultural evidences, starting from the stone artifact to the rock painting at one side, and the evidences of lower Pelthic period to the early Histic period. So here we are getting evidences both from temporal point of view and from the spatial point of view. From space point of view, if we'll discuss, we are getting the extension of site in a vast area covering the hundreds of rock shelters, and the temporal period, the range is covering from the Paleolithic to the early Histic period. So here in Bhimbetka, if we'll see, we'll get the multiple types of evidences. So let's discuss its location. This particular Bhimbetka is a name of a large hill range located near Bhuyapur, a village located on the Mumbai-Delhi line of Central Railway. It is about 30 to 40 kilometers from the river Narmada near Hoshangabad, as well as about 45 kilometers from Bhopal, the district headquarter of Bhopal, as well as the state capital of Madhya Pradesh. So this range, this particular hill range, is a part of Vindhyan Hills, which is covered with the thick vegetation, thick wood. So this particular Bhimbetka, where there are almost 1,000 of rock shelters, are present in 7 hills. And among these rock shelters, almost 750 are having different kind of evidences related to prehistoric cultural period. So this particular rock shelter of Bhimbetka was for the first time reported discovered by V.S. Wakankor of the University of Ujjain in 1957. The discovery of this Bhimbetka is quite interesting. If we'll see this particular Bhimbetka rock shelters, which are located at the top of Bhimbetka range of hills, are clearly visible from the bottom of hill where the railway track is passing. So here the railway track and national highway is passing parallelly about 3 kilometers away from these rock shelters. So it was V.S. Wakankar while he was passing, while traveling through this route by train, that time he observed that a series of rock shelters are present at the top, and it's curated a kind of curiosity to know about this particular rock shelter. And this is the beginning of discovery of these rock shelters. So later he excavated some rock shelters along with V.N. Mishra, and this excavation continued for about 4 to 5 years. It was from 1973 to 1977. They excavated where they evident the presence of different prehistoric cultural evidences starting from the lower Paleolithic period to the early historic period, along with different evidences which indicates about the biological evolution. So here the evidences are excavated relating to the cultural evolution as well as the biological evolution. The environmental setting of this site is also quite interesting. As I told, this particular Bhimbetka possesses a group of hill range which is part of Vindhyan hill range and located about 30 kilometers away from the river Narmada, the Narmada basin. It is a green and forest area which is very much suitable for human habitation starting from the time of prehistoric period. So environmental setting is quite interesting, which is very much helpful for the prehistoric denizens for their habitation, for collecting the edible plants, edible leaves, flowers, fruits, seeds, tuber, etc. And this place is also very suitable to get different small birds, animals, as well as wide as well as wild animals for hunting activities. That's why probably the prehistoric people have selected this particular place. And there are numbers of rock shelters, contains rock paintings, the prehistoric rock painting. So this is a very important prehistoric sites, basically providing evidences of Mesolithic cultural period, not only in Indian context but also from the global context. At the time of excavation, VN Mesro named different rock shelter in different way. They provided name to each and every rock shelter. And it was the rock shelter 3 Roman 3 3F23. That is the rock shelter which is present close to the auditorium hall. We'll discuss why another rock shelter is called the auditorium hall. So this particular rock shelter, which is called the 3F23, this is the most important excavated Mesolithic rock shelter from this Bhimbetka range, which provided the Mesolithic artifact as well as the related bone remains, the evidences of burial from undersurface. So these evidences are present under the surface and reported at the time of excavation. So this is from the undersurface. At the same time, different rock paintings of wild animal hunting scenes are present on the ceilings of this particular rock shelter. So one side we are getting the prehistoric rock painting relating to the Mesolithic period, which is depicting through the hunting scenes, wild animals present on the ceilings of this particular caves, and at the other sides, evidences of bone remains, burial remains, and stone tools are found from the base, from the surface of this rock shelter, as well as from the under surface at the time of excavation, which proves about the presence of strong Mesolithic cultural evidences from these sites. But this is not only the single rock shelter having the prehistoric painting and the prehistoric stone tool and bone tool from this Bhimbetka range. Close to this particular rock shelter, is another rock shelter which is called the Auditorium Hall. It's a big rock shelter where the hundreds of people can be accommodated at a single time, where numbers of people can stay together. And that particular auditorium hall is present very close to this excavated rock shelter, that is the 3F23. And this auditorium hall also consists some kind of rock painting of deers and other wild animals, finger impressions, some kind of geometric designs on its wall surface. Personally, I am very lucky to visit these Bhimbetka rock sites for several times And for numbers of years, I was working this UNESCO World Heritage Project. That time we were exploring, working among the tribal people living around this Bhimbetka, and that time we were continuously visiting. So later, this site was also excavated by SB Ota of Archaeological Survey of India, and the excavation in this Bhimbetka range is still continuing. Nowadays, the Bhopal Circle of Archaeological Survey of India is presently excavating this rock shelter. So the excavation of this rock shelter is continuing since the time of V.S. Wankankar, time of V.N. Mishra, the time of S.V. Ota, time of K.K. Mohammed, the superintendent archaeologist, and the present superintendent archaeologist of Bhopal Archaeological Survey of India. So it is a continuous process, and more number of evidences are still coming day by day. So these are some excavated Mesolithic sites which are having the evidences not only of stone tool or bone tool but also paintings, engravings, etc. In audition context, these Mesolithic evidences are found from the Sundargarh district, Sambalpur district. There are number of rock shelters present near Redhakhol, which contains these prehistoric paintings as well as engraving, the hunting scenarios, the human figurines, the geometric designs on the wall of rock shelter located usually on the hilltop of Sambalpur, Sundargarh, Jharsuguda area. And usually these rock shelters are known by the villagers or local people as the Lekha Patharo. Lekha means inscribed, written. Patharo means stone. So the stones, the caves, having some kind of evidences of writing. But here it does not indicate about the writing. Writing means any kind of depiction of symbols, but all the local people they used to call the writings, but these are the depiction of some kind of animal figurines, human figurines, geometric designs on the rock shelters. Similarly, in northern Odisha, the rock shelters are having paintings, that is Pakhna pot. Even the southern Odisha, there are some kind of rock shelters which are present from the Mesolithic context. So now we'll discuss these rock arts, how these rock arts are important from the study of Mesolithic culture point of view. So, as we discussed in previous class also, when did the first rock art evolve? And we discussed it evolved during the time of Middle Paleolithic, and the more number of rock arts are present during the Mesolithic time. The percentage of rock painting during Upper Paleolithic period is also quite important. So here we are discussing the rock art sites present in India, and we discuss about the Bhimbetka. So Bhimbetka is very important rock art sites which declare it the UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2003. So it is not only important for prehistoric study or from the rock art study from Indian context, but also it is having significance at the global level. So also we discuss why the name Bhimbetka is called. Bhimbetka means the place where the Bhima, a mythological character of Mahabharata time, was sitting. Bhim Batika means the sitting place of Bhima. And You will be surprised. The present tribal people who are living around these Bhimbetka rock shelters are still believing that this mythological figure was present there and they are having experiences of his presence at different period of time. Therefore, there are some kind of local fair and festivals are organized on the top of this Bhimbetka hill where the rock shelters are present. So, at the time of Holi, Holika Dahan, there are a festival celebrated in this particular shelter and it is to continue for few days. Every year, the visitors, the people used to come, used to visit from different places and stayed there. So similarly, like Bhimbetka, the another hill range close to this Bhimbetka, that is the Panchmadi rock art. Panchmadi is a biosphere. In central India, we are having two biosphere reserve. One is Panchmadi biosphere reserve, another is Amarkantok Achanak Marg biosphere reserve. Panchmadi biosphere reserve is located near Hosangabad at the central towards the central part of Madhya Pradesh. However, the Amarkantok Achanak Marg biosphere reserve is located towards the eastern part of Madhya Pradesh, close to the border of Chhattisgarh. So this biosphere reserve is located covering the two states, partly from the Madhya Pradesh and partly from the Chhattisgarh. So in Panchmadi also, number of rock shelters are reported which are having the paintings, which are also having different kind of microlithic tools. Apart from that, in Madhya Pradesh, in inside the Bhopal city and inside the compound of IGRMS, that is the Indira Gandhi Rashtriya Manav Sangrahalaya, the biggest, the largest ethnographic museum of Asia, which is also known as the Museum of Mankind. So inside this museum compound, there are a series of rock shelters present along with different kind of paintings of wild animals, painting of hunting scenarios, painting of human figurines of both male, female, painting of human figurines holding the weapons like spearhead, etc. And usually the red ochre, which is locally called the Gerupathro in eastern part of India, are mainly used for such kind of painting. But if we move towards the central India, to the eastern part of India, we will see a kind of change in this Mesolithic art, especially the Mesolithic rock art. In central India, the majority of rock shelters having art includes mainly the painting. Only some natural colors like red ochre or the colors prepared from different kind of minerals like the iron ore or other minerals. And in some cases, the use of plant remains are noticed. So mainly red ochre are dominantly used for painting these figurines. In most of the cases, these are symbolic in nature. Only few are naturalistic. But if we are moving towards the eastern India, starting from the Chhattisgarh will see these kind of Mesolithic arts, both in the form of painting and engraving. Painting and engraving. Engraving means the grooving, the engraving, the making some kind of lines on the surface of the wall or roof of rock shelter. A kind of lines, a kind of groove, maybe with some kind of hard stone or flakes. And in some cases, these engraved marks are also covered with some kind of painted marks with some kind of colors. This is towards the Chhattisgarh, and it used to continue towards the Odisha also. Odisha also, in Western Odisha, will see the presence of both painting and engraving in Mesolithic rock shelter. In Mesolithic rock shelter. So, if we'll move towards the Adamgod rock art shelter, Adamgod means a rock shelter present in northern part of India in Uttar Pradesh. There also we'll see more percentage of use of colors, paint. So now thing is that if we are analyzing this kind of thing, a question is to come in our mind that why they were preparing. And yesterday, partly we were discussing the causes factors of preparing this rock painting, rock art, and that is to pass their time, to reflect their artistic skill, etc., to use their leisure time, etc. So, along with these paintings and engraving, there are some important characteristic features which are found particularly in Eastern Indian rock art. These are called cup mark. Cup mark, a kind of groove mark, a kind of circular pit kind of thing present at the front sides of the rock shelter or sometime at the top, at the roof of the rock shelter. These cup marks indicates about the use of that particular rock shelter for habitational purpose, where they are putting some kind of woods, some kind of branches of tree, they are putting some kind of branches of tree on those kind of pits and covering the frontal sides and protecting themselves from the wild animal. So if they are making some kind of groups, some kind of pits at the front side of rock shelters and covering with the wood and branches of tree, it will not only help them, not only protect them from the wild animals, but also it will protect them from the cold temperature, cold climate. And they used to stay in safe place. So these cop marks are having different kind of implications. Sometimes these cop marks are also symbolic. Sometimes symbolics which are present on the wall. So this is something related to the Mesolithic art which are present in different places. So if we'll see the theme, the content, the color, the depiction, the shape, the size, the figurines, the location of paintings, these rock art are differ from one side to another sides. In some places, we are getting dominantly use of painting. However, in some places, the majority part of art are present in the form of engraving. Somewhere we are using the red ochre, somewhere the green color, somewhere the dark red ochre. Some places we are having evidences of hunting scenes. Somewhere we are having evidences of domestication of animal or pastoral life, as well as we are also having evidences of different kind of war scenes. Somewhere we are getting evidences of dancing scene, holding multiple number of people, their hands, and in dancing posture, somewhere people are running behind the animals, and that indicates about the hunting activity. In some places, we are getting these rock paintings on the wall. Somewhere we are getting these paintings on the roof. In some places, we are getting this painting along with other stone tools, bone tools. However, somewhere we are getting these evidences along with the different kind of ceramic remains. Sometimes these rock paintings are very naturalistic in a way. Sometimes these are very symbolic in a way. Take an example in Bhimbetka, in one rock shelter, which is very high and which is not possible to climb up or to reach in normal condition. Probably the priestic people use a big tree, big log to reach that particular point where they painted a big animals looking like a bull, and the size of that animals is quite bigger than the normal bulls. So which indicates a kind of symbolic representation, or maybe they painted it for the ritualistic purpose. So it used to differ from one place to another place. So this art, when we are discussing from the Mesolithic point of view, it does not confine only to the rock art or the cave art. As we discussed in previous class, the evidences of home art is also found from the different Mesolithic sites. And these artworks are present on the bones, on the ostrich shell, on the cover of ostrich egg, etc., which are very small, very tiny, and movable. What they are moving from one place to another place. So these are related to the Mesolithic art. So to sum up our discussion, today we discuss about the Mesolithic culture, especially from the European context and Indian context, where there was a strong correlation with their local environment, local ecology. At the beginning time, towards the early part of Holocene, or what we are saying after the Upper Paleolithic periods, the evidences of Mesolithic culture were more relating to the Upper Paleolithic cultural material. However, later period, it is close to the Neolithic period, where it is related to the agro-based economic system. At the beginning, they were more using the stone tool. Later, they also started using some kind of stone tool of later period. So, evidences of Mesolithic period, both from the European context and from the Indian context, are explored, discovered, and excavated from different sites, including the rock shelter sites, where the proofs of presence of Mesolithic culture was present in the form of paintings, engraving, in the form of stone tool, bone tool, etc., and the use of rock shelter for habitational purpose. So this is the time period which connected the Paleolithic and Neolithic period. And also from the climatic point of view, this started after the Pleistocene epoch, when the temperature increase when the rainfall increase. And because of that, a new variety of economy, new tool typology started and continued for a longer period of time. And later, which also reported from the Neolithic and other cultural period. So this is all about the Mesolithic culture. So here we discuss the tool typology, tool technology, the distribution of site, the excavation, and the findings of excavated site, and also we discuss about the rock art. So this is all about this particular Mesolithic culture. So with this, we are concluding our today discussion. If you are having any query discussion, you may ask. We can discuss for a while. Otherwise, we will stop here our discussion. So now over to you.
Thank you, sir.
So, so if you are having any doubt, we can continue later also. You are most welcome to ask question.
Nice, and no doubt. So,
So I'm unfortunate that even if I am having some kind of slides, but I don't know, there is some problem in my laptop and I am unable to share. Otherwise, it could be more interesting also. So let's see. So tomorrow we'll continue our classes
yes,
at
sir.
the same time. Thank you and have
Thank
a
you, sir.
good night. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
আমরা খুব খুশি আছি কারণ আমাদের বিকাশ হবে, আমাদের দেশের উন্নতি হবে, আমাদের বাচ্চা কাচ্চা পড়তে পারবে, তাদের শিক্ষার উন্নতি হবে, আর আমাদের করতে পাবো কি আমাদের অর্থনৈতিক সামাজিক আমাদের রাজনীতির উন্নতি হবে। কেন্দ্র সরকার যে সিএএ লাগু করেছে, সিএএ লাগু করার ফলে আমাদের যে আর্থিক সামাজিক রাজনৈতিক যে অসুবিধাগুলো ছিল সেগুলো আস্তে আস্তে সমাধান হবে। আমাদের ছেলে মেয়ে স্কুলে লেখাপড়া করার জন্য সুবিধা সুযোগ পাবে, এই জন্য আমরা কেন্দ্র সরকারকে অনেক যেহেতু সিএএ ভারতবর্ষের রয়েছে বহু প্রতিবন্ধী যারা রয়েছে অন্যান্য স্বাগতিক কার্যভুক্ত আমার দেশের যেমন একটা ঠিকভাবে নির্মাতার মধ্যে সমর্থন দিয়ে সাধারণ নাগরিক ভাই ভালো এবং আমরা থাকে বেশিরভাগ সমর্থন ইমপ্লিমেন্ট করেছে।
সেটা ঠিক।
Chatting officing system, ଗୋଟିଏ ଗବେଷକ ଟର୍ମିନାଲ ଭୂତାଣୁ ଜନ ଔଷଧି କେନ୍ଦ୍ର ସହ ଗୋଟିଏ ବୁଝିଲା ହେଉଛି ସ୍ୱଦେଶୀ ତଥା ସ୍ଥାନୀୟ ଉତ୍ପାଦର ବିକ୍ରି ବଟାକୁ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦେଇ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ 41ଟି ୱାନ୍ ଷ୍ଟେସନ ୱାନ୍ ପ୍ରଡକ୍ଟ ଷ୍ଟୋରର ଶୁଭାରମ୍ଭ ଏଭଳି ଦେଶବ୍ୟାପୀ ଆଜି 50,000 କୋଟିରୁ ଅଧିକ ମୂଲ୍ୟର ରେଳ ପ୍ରକଳ୍ପର ଭିତ୍ତିପ୍ରସ୍ତର ଓ ଲୋକାର୍ପଣ କରିଛନ୍ତି ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ନରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ମୋଦି। 2014 के पहले से 25 रेल मंत्री देश की पालन में क्या बोलते थे हमारी हमारी ट्रेन का मार्ग करते थे वहाँ हम डिब्बे थे तो आज करते थे मैंने रेलवे अड्डा देखना था पार्लियामेंट में
ଖରାବେଳେ ଭାତ ବହୁତ କମ୍ ଖିଆଥିଲା। ଆରେ ଅଧା ମିନିଟ ପଡିଲା
ହାତଟା ଧୁଏ।
ତମର ବାଲାନ୍ସ ନାହିଁ ମୋର ବାଲାନ୍ସ ନାହିଁ ନା କଣ?
ସମାବେଶରେ ସାମିଲ ହୋଇ ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ ମୋଦି ଆତ୍ମନିର୍ଭରତା ଉପରେ ଗୁରୁତ୍ୱ ଦେଇ କହିଛନ୍ତି ଆତ୍ମନିର୍ଭରତା ବିନା ବିକଶିତ ଭାରତ ଅସମ୍ଭବ। ଭାରତକୁ ବିକଶିତ କରିବାକୁ ହେଲେ ଆମକୁ ଅନ୍ୟ ଉପରେ ନିର୍ଭରତା କମାଇବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ। ପ୍ରତିରକ୍ଷା କ୍ଷେତ୍ରକୁ ଆତ୍ମନିର୍ଭର କରିବାକୁ ଗତ 10 ବର୍ଷରେ ସରକାର ଲଗାତାର ଉଦ୍ୟମ କରିବା ସହ ଏମ୍ଏସ୍ଏମ୍ଇ ଓ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟଅପ୍କୁ ପ୍ରୋତ୍ସାହିତ କରିଛନ୍ତି ପ୍ରଧାନମନ୍ତ୍ରୀ। ସେଥିପାଇଁ ତ ପ୍ରତିରକ୍ଷା କ୍ଷେତ୍ରରେ କମୁଛି ଆମଦାନୀ। ଏବେ ଭାରତ ବନିଛି ବିଶ୍ୱର ଏକ ଲାର୍ଜେଷ୍ଟ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟର। विकसित भारत की कल्पना आत्मनिर्भर भारत के बिना संभव ही नहीं। भारत को विकसित होना है, हमें दूसरों पर अपनी निर्भरता को कम करना ही होगा।
କରୁଛନ୍ତି ମେଷ। ହଁ ତ। ऐसे पानी रोक के रात्रि डूबे देले हबनी मगर सिंथेटिक जिनिस कौन ସେଟା ପୁଣି ପରଦିନ ଘୁଞ୍ଚୁଛି 14 ତାରିଖକୁ। ନାଇଁ ନାଇଁ ଏଟା ଘୁଞ୍ଚିବ କଣ ତାର ସେ ଅବଜେକ୍ସନ କଲା ସେଟା ପୁଣି ହିୟରିଂ ହବ। ଅପୋଜିଟ ଓକିଲ କଳା ସାହିର। ଆଇଗଲା ତ ଲିକ୍ ହେଇ ପଡିଛି ତାକୁ ମୁଁ ଭାବୁଛି ଗଡେଇ ଗଡେଇ ନେବି ଆଲୋ ହଁ ରାତିରେ ନେବି ଆଉ। ଚାଲିକିନି ଟିକେ ଆସେ ଦିନ ସାରା ଘରେ ବସିଛି। ଟିକେ ଅଳ୍ପ ବାଟରୁ ଆସିବି 15 ମିନିଟ୍। ଆରେ ଆଉ 2 3ଟା ନେଇଯାଉ ଏଇଟା এখন ଥାଉ।
ସତରେ
କୁଆଡେ ଯାଇଥିଲ କୁଆଡେ?
ଆଜି ଯାଇଥିଲି ଗାଡି ନେଇକି ଟିକେ ନୂଆ ବଜାର ଆଡେ ହେଇକି ଆସିଲି। ନହେଲେ ମୁଁ ଡେଲି ରାତିରେ ଚାଲିକି ଯାଏ। ଚାଲିକି ମଲ୍ଲିକାଶପୁର ଏମିତି ଆମର ସାହି ଏମିତି ହେଇକି ସିନେମା ହଲ୍ ଆସେ। ଆଜି ଟିକେ କାମ ଥିଲା ବୋଲି ଯାଇଥିଲି। ଆଉ ଆପଣ ଯାଉଛନ୍ତି?
ଛୋଟ ଚାଲିକିନା ଆସେ ନହେଲେ ସାଇକେଲ ଟା ନେଇକି ଯାଏ। ସାଇକେଲ ଟା କଣ କାଲି କେମିତି ପଙ୍କଚର ହେଇଯାଇଛି ଆଗରେ ହାୱା ବାହାରି ଯାଇଛି। ସଦାବେଳେ ମୁଁ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଯିବ ନାଇଁ
ହଁ ସବୁ ବନ୍ଦ ହେଇଯିବ।
କାଲି ସକାଳ 9ଟା ବେଳକୁ ନେଇଯିବି। ଦହପଡାରେ ଗୋଟେ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଚ୍ୟୁଟ୍ ଅଛି ଆମ ଦେଶରେ ଯାଇଥିଲେ ସେ ଗୋଟେ ଆମ ଗାଁରେ ଗୋଟେ ଝିଆରୀ ହିସାବ ହବ ତାର ଗୋଟେ ଇଏ ଥିଲା ରିଟିନ୍ ଏକ୍ଜାମ ଯାଉ ତାକୁ ନେଇ ଛାଡ଼ିକି ନେଇକି ଆସିଲି 9:30ରେ ପୁଣି ଆଉଥରେ ଗଲି 12ଟାରେ ତାକୁ ଆଣିଲି।
ମାନେ ପୁଅ ପାଇଁ ଯେ ଯୋଉ ଝିଅ ଦେଖୁଥିଲେ ଆମ ପୁଅ ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ଦେଖିବେ ଝିଅ।
ଆପଣ ପୁରା ବାହାଘରରେ ନିର୍ବନ୍ଧ ସରିଯାଇଛି?
ନା ନା କିଏ କହିଲା? ଯୋଉ ଝିଅକୁ ଆମେ ଦେଖିବାକୁ ଯାଇଥିଲେ ଆମେ କହିଲୁ ସେ ଝିଅ
ହେ ଭଗବାନ ମତେ ଗୋପୀ 2-4 ଥର ପଚାରିଲାଣି ମୁଁ କହିଲି ହଁ ତାଙ୍କର ବାହାଘର
ନା
ଫାଇନାଲ
ନା
ହେଇନି।
ନା ନା
ଏପ୍ରିଲରେ ହବ ବୋଲି ମତେ ଆପଣ କହିଥିଲେ ପରା ମୁଁ
ନା
ଥରେ
ନା ଏପ୍ରିଲରେ ତ ଲଗ୍ନ ନାହିଁ ଆଉ।
ନାଇଁ ଲଗ୍ନ ନାଇଁ
ନା
ଓ ତାମାନେ ଆପଣ କିଛି ଗୋଟେ ହେଇନି?
ନା ହେଇନି ଯାହା ଦେଖା ଦୁଖି ହେଇଥିଲା କିନ୍ତୁ
ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରୁଥିଲି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆପଣ ପୁଅ ବାହାଘର ହେଲା ଫାଇନାଲ ହେଲା ମୋର ଗୋଟେ ଭଲ ବ୍ରାହ୍ମଣ ଝିଅ ପ୍ରସ୍ତାବ କିଏ ଜଣେ କହିଥିଲା ମ ମୁଁ ସେଇଟାକୁ ଲକ୍ଷ୍ୟ କରି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ପଚାରିଲି ଆପଣ କହିଲେ ନା ଆମର ଫାଇନାଲ ହେଇଛି। ଦେଖାଯାଏ
ଫାଇନାଲ ହେଇଥିଲା କିନ୍ତୁ
ହଁ
ଯାହାକୁ ସେ ଝିଅ ଭଲ ନୁହେଁ ଝିଅ ତାର ଟିକେ ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ ଅଛି। ସେ ନିଜେ କହିଦେଲା ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ ଅଛି।
ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ ଅଛି ଆପଣ ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ପୁଅକୁ କେତେ ବର୍ଷ ହେଲା?
ପୁଅକୁ 28+। ଏଇ ମେ ମାସରେ 29 ହେଲା।
2 ବର୍ଷ ଆପଣ ବସିଯାଆନ୍ତୁ ମୋ କଥା ମାନନ୍ତୁ। ମିଶି ଗଲେ ଆପଣ କୋଉଠି ଧାଁ ଦୌଡ କରନ୍ତୁ ନାଇଁ ବାହାଘର କଥା ବସିଯାଆନ୍ତୁ 2 ବର୍ଷ। ପ୍ରସ୍ତାବ ଆପଣ ପଛରେ ଗୋଡେଇବ ପଛକୁ ଆସିବ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି? 28 ବର୍ଷରେ ଆଜିକାଲି 30 ବର୍ଷ ତଳକୁ ପୁଅ କେହି ବାହା ହଉନାହାନ୍ତି ଗୋଟେ କଥା ଇଏ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଆପଣ 100ରେ 95 ଭାଗ ଝିଅ ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ।
ହଁ ହଁ ଠିକ।
ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି?
ଆପଣ ଦେଖୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଏଇ ରାସ୍ତାରେ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ କେମିତିଆ ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ କରୁଛି।
ଆପଣ ଶିକ୍ଷିତ ଝିଅ ଯେତିକି ପଦାକୁ ବାହାରୁଛନ୍ତି ପାଠ ପଢୁଛନ୍ତି ଅଲ୍ ଆର୍ ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ। ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି ଯୋଉମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଝିଅର ସର୍ଭିସ ଦେ ଆର୍ ମୋର୍ ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବ। ବୁଝିଲେ କି? ଆପଣ 28 ବର୍ଷ ଆପଣ ଆଦୌ ବାହାଘର କଥା ଚିନ୍ତା କରନ୍ତୁନି 2 ବର୍ଷ
ଆପଣ ଯାହା ହଉ ଟିକେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଲାଗିଲା
ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ନା
ଟିକେ
ହେଲା ଠିକ ଅଛି। 40 ବର୍ଷ ତଳେ ମୁଁ ବାହା ହେଇଥିଲି 28ରେ। ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ ବିଫୋର୍ 40
ମୁଁ
ଇୟର୍ସ ବ୍ୟାକ୍
31 ବର୍ଷ 30+ରେ ବାହା ହେଇଥିଲି।
30 ପ୍ଲସରେ ବାହା ହେଇଛନ୍ତି ଆପଣ ପୁଅକୁ ମାନେ 40 ବର୍ଷ ପରେ ପୁଅକୁ 28 ବର୍ଷରେ ବାହାଘର କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହୁଁଛନ୍ତି? ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି? ଜମା ଜମା ନୁହେଁ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି ଆପଣ ଜମା ଓରିଡି ହୁଅନ୍ତୁନି ହେଲା। ଆପଣ ସିକ୍ରେଟଲି କରିବା ପାଇଁ ବି ଚାହିଁବେନି କେତେବେଳେ ଦେଖିବେ ଭଲ ଯିବେ ସାଇ ପଡ଼ିଶା ସାଙ୍ଗସାଥିକି ନେଇକି ଯିବେ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିବେ ସିଏ ଦେଖିବେ ଇଏ ଦେଖିବେ ସିଏ ଦେଖିବେ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ ତାର ଡାଟା ନେବେ ଇଏ କରିବେ ସିଏ କରିବେ ଆପଣ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି ଏ ମୋତେ କିଏ ଜଣେ ବ୍ରାହ୍ମଣ ଝିଅ କହିଥିଲେ ସେ ମିଳିବ ଡାଟା ମିଳିଯିବ ମାନେ ହଁ ମନେ ପଡ଼ିଲା କହିବେ
କିଏ
କଣ
କହିଲେ?
ଧାରଣା ମୋତେ ସେ କହିଥିଲେ ଭଲ ହେଲା ଝିଅଟା ଇଏ ଅଛି ସୁନ୍ଦର ଦେଖିବାକୁ ଇଏ ସିଏ ମୁଁ ଆପଣ ହିସାବ ଦିନ ପଚାରିଲା ଆପଣ କହିଲେ ନା ବାହାଘର ଫାଇନାଲ ହେଇଯାଇଛି।
ବାହାରେ ଫାଇନାଲ ହେଇଛି ମାନେ କଥାବାର୍ତ୍ତା ହେଇଥିଲା ସେମାନେ ଆସିଥିଲେ ଦିଥର ଆମେ ଯାଇଥିଲେ ଦିଥର ଲାଷ୍ଟରେ ସେ ଝିଅ ତାର
ମନା କରିଦେଲା ମନା କରିଦେଲା
ମନା କରିବାକୁ ସେ ତ କହିଲା ମୁଁ ବାହା ହେବି ତୁ ଘରକୁ ଯିବି
ଆଁ
ଏଠୁକୁ ଆସିବନି
ଏଠିକି ଆସିବନି
ଆସିବନି ସିଏ ରହିବ ବାହାରେ ରହିବ ସିଏ ଆଉ ସେ ବହୁତ କଥା କହିଲା ସେ କଥା ଉପରେ ମୁଁ କେବେ ବି କଶ୍ମୀର କାଳେ ରାଜି ନୁହେଁ।
ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଯୋଉ ଝିଅ କହିଲା ମୁଁ ବାହା ହେବି ଶାଶୁ ଶ୍ୱଶୁରଙ୍କ ଯିବିନି କି ଏଠିକି ଯିବିନି କି ଦିନେ ରହିବିନି ଆପଣ ସିଏ ମାନେ
ହଁ ସେ
ସୁନାର କଳସୀ ଆଣିକି ଦିଏ
ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରଶ୍ନ
ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି ସୁନାର କଳସୀ ଯଦି ଦିଏ ସୁନାର ହାତୀ
ଚାକିରି କରିଛି ଚାକିରି ପଇସା ତା ବାପା ମାଆଙ୍କ
ଆପଣ କହିଲେ ହେଲା
ନା ମୁଁ କାହାରି ପାରି କରିନଥିଲି ଆପଣ ପାରି
ଠିକ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି ଆପଣ ମୋ ପାଖରୁ ଠିକ ଆଡଭାଇସ୍ ପାଇବେ ଆପଣ କଥାଟା 100% ଲିକେଜ୍ ପ୍ରୁଫ୍ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ କି ମୋର ଏଇଟା କ'ଣ 100% ଲିକେଜ୍ ପ୍ରୁଫ୍ ଲିକ୍ କୋଉଠି ହବନି କଥା ତାପରେ ସିଏ ତ ଶଳା ଭାଙ୍ଗିଗଲା ତାକୁ 1000 ଲିକ୍ କଲେ କି ଡାଫୁଡେ ଦେଇ ପୋଡ଼ି ଦେଇକି ପବନ ବାହାର କରିଦେଲେ ଅସୁବିଧା କ'ଣ ଝିଅ ବଦମାସ ଝିଅ କହିବେ ଝିଅ ପଚାରିବ ହଁ ବାହାଘର ଠିକ୍ ହେଇଗଲା ଏଇଟା ପରେ ଶୁଣିଲେ ଭଲ ନୁହେଁ ଗଲା କଥା ସରିଲା ଆଉ କ'ଣ।
ହଉ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ଦେଲି ଆପଣ
ନାଇଁ ମୋତେ ଭଲ ଝିଅଟା ଆସିଥିଲା ଅଛି ମୁଁ ତାକୁ ଫୋନ୍ କରିବି କାଲି ସକାଳେ ଦିଟା ଝିଅ ଆସିଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ଆଉ କିଛି ଦେଖାଉଛି କୁହନ୍ତୁ ଭଲ ଝିଅଟା ବ୍ରାହ୍ମଣ ସିଏ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ମର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ୱାର୍କରେ ଦେଖା ହେଉଛି ଏଇ
ଆପଣ
ଯୋଉ
ଏଇ ଗୁରୁବାର ଦିନ ରାତିରେ 7ଟା ବେଳକୁ ଯିବେ ନା ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗରେ
କୋଉଠି କହୁନାହାନ୍ତି
ସୁଏଲପୁର
ହଁ
ସେଠି ସେଠି ଆସନ୍ତି ଆମର ଖାରବେଳ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ ଆସନ୍ତି ଜୀବନ ପ୍ରଦୀପ ଦାସ
ଆପଣ
ଆସନ୍ତି
ଗୁରୁବାର ଦିନ ଭୋର 7ଟା ବେଳକୁ ତ
ନା ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା 7ଟା ବେଳକୁ
ଆଉ ଆପଣଙ୍କର ମୋତେ ଥରେ କହିଥିଲେ ମୁଁ ନେଇଯିବି
ହଁ
ବୋଲି
ସେତେବେଳେ ଥିଲେନି ସେ ବର୍ଷର ମୁଁ ଯାଇନଥିଲି ଏଇଥର
ମୋତେ
ଯିବୁ
କହିଥିଲେ ସକାଳ 7ଟା ବୋଲି
ନା
ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା
ହଁ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା
ଭୁଲ କହିଥିଲେ
ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା 7ଟା ବେଳକୁ ଆପଣ ଯିବେ
ପରଦିନ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା 7ଟା
ପରଦିନ ସନ୍ଧ୍ୟା 7ଟା ବେଳକୁ ଯିବେ ଦେଖେ ଯେ 10-20 ଜଣ ଲୋକ ବସଛନ୍ତି ସବୁ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ବୟସର
ନା ଠିକ୍ ଅଛି ଦରକାର
ଆପଣଙ୍କ ବୟସ ସବୁ ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ୍ ଲୋକ ଆଉ ରିଟାୟାର୍ଡ ସବୁ ଖାରବେଳ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ ଆସନ୍ତି
ହଁ ନା ଠିକ୍
ସେ
7ଟା ବେଳକୁ
ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ
ଗଲେ ଠିକ୍
ଖାରବେଳ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ ଆସିବେ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଥର ମିଠା କିଣିକି ଆସିବେ ସେଇ ବାଟନ୍ତି
ଓହୋ ଆଚ୍ଛା ଖାରବେଳ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ କହିଲେ କେବେଠୁ ତ କହିଗଲେଣି ଯେ ମୁଁ ମାନେ ଇଲେକ୍ଟେଡ୍ MP ବାଲେଶ୍ୱର ଖାରବେଳ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ ଭୈରବ ଖାରବେଳ ସ୍ୱାଇଁ ମୁଁ ଅଲରେଡି ସିଲେକ୍ଟ ହେଇଯାଇଛି 3 ଲକ୍ଷ ଭୋଟରେ ଜିତିଛି ବା ଜିତିବି ମୁଁ ଟିକେଟ ଆଣୁଛି ଟିକେଟ
ସେ କାହିଁ ଘୁରାଘୁରି ତ କିଛି ନାହିଁ ସଭା ସମିତି
ଏ
ନାହିଁ
ଆମର ଅଛି ତାର ରେକର୍ଡିଂ ମୁଁ ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ବଜେଇ ଦେଇଛି ମୁଁ ଟିକେଟ ପାଉଛି ପାଇଛି ପାଇବି ଛିଡା ହଉଛି ଜିତିବି 3 ଲକ୍ଷ ଭୋଟରେ ଜିତିବି
ମୁଁ କେତେ ଭୋଟର ହେଲେ 4 ଲକ୍ଷ 3 ଲକ୍ଷ
ହସ୍ପଟ ଆମର 2-3 ଥର ମର୍ଣ୍ଣିଂ ୱାକରେ
ଏଇ ପ୍ରତାପ ଷଡ଼ଙ୍ଗୀ ଟିକଟ ପାଇବ
ନିଶ୍ଚିନ୍ତ ପାଇବ ହଁ
ପାଇବ ମିଶ୍ରଣ ଟା ହଉଛି
ମେଣ୍ଟ ଫେଣ୍ଟ
ମେଣ୍ଟଟା ହଉଛି ମାନେ ଶଙ୍ଖକୁ ଭାଙ୍ଗିବା ପାଇଁ ମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଲା ମାନେ ଲୋକମାନେ ଭାବିବେ କ'ଣ ବିଜେପି କି ଦେଇଦେବା ଆଉ ବିଜେପି କି ଦେଇଦେଲା ପରେ ୟା ଶଙ୍ଖର ସଂଖ୍ୟା କମିବ ଶଙ୍ଖକୁ ପୁରା ଡ୍ୟାମେଜ କରିଦେବା ପାଇଁ ନରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ମୋଦିର ଏଟା ଗୋଟେ ଚାଲ ମିଶାଣଟା
ତାହେଲେ ସେ ଚାଲ ଆପଣ ବହୁତ ବିଭ୍ରାଟ ହବ ସେଇଟା କିଛି ଚାଲୁନି ଆପଣ ଏଥର ଡେଫିନେଟଲି ବିଜେପି ବହୁତ ପାଇବ ଏମପିରେ ବହୁତ ପାଇବ ଏମଏଲଏ ପାଇବ ଏମଏଲଏ ଯାଉଠୁ ମନ୍ତ୍ରିମଣ୍ଡଳ ଗଠନ କରିପାରେ କିନ୍ତୁ ଏପିରେ କିଛି ପାଇଯିବ ଏବଂ ଇଏ ବହୁତ ବିଭ୍ରାଟ ହବ ମାନେ ଆପଣ
ନରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ମୋଦି କି ଦେବେ ଲୋକ ନରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ମୋଦି ପାଇଁ
କାହାକୁ
ଦେବେ ନରେନ୍ଦ୍ର ମୋଦି ଦେଖିକି ଏମପି କି ଦେବେ ପଦ୍ମ
ଏମପିରେ ଦେବେ କିନ୍ତୁ ଷ୍ଟେଟ ପାଇଁ ଦେବେ କଂଗ୍ରେସକୁ ଦେବେ ସେଟା ଲିଟରେଷ୍ଟ ମାସ ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ ମାସ ତାଙ୍କର ଚିନ୍ତାଧାରା ଯଦି ମେଣ୍ଟ ହୁଏ ଯଦି ମେଣ୍ଟ ନ ହୁଏ ବିଜେପି ଦେବେ
ବିଜେପି ସହିତ ଖତରା ହେଇଗଲାଣି ମାନେ ଏତେ ବାଜ୍ୟ ଲୋକ ଖାଲି ପଇସା
ଯିଏ 2,500 ଦରମା ପାଉଥିଲା ତାଙ୍କୁ 10,000 କରିଦେଲା ପଞ୍ଚାୟତ ସମିତି ଚେୟାରମ୍ୟାନ ମାସକୁ ଲକ୍ଷ 5-7 ଲକ୍ଷ ଟଙ୍କା ଖାଲି ପିସିଆ ଦେଇ କରୁଛନ୍ତି 2,500 ତାଙ୍କ ଦରମା ତାଙ୍କର ହେଇଗଲା 10,000 କୋଉଠୁ ପଇସା ଆସିବ आज बढ़ी जाए समस्त सरपंच वार्ड मेम्बर भाई नायक सरपंच समस्त
खाली पैसा बढ़ी देଉଛି ନା
भागवत टुंगी 50,000 जोड़ी किसी नहीं
ଲକ୍ଷେ 2 ଲକ୍ଷ ମଣ୍ଡି 5 ଲକ୍ଷ ଭୋଟ ପାଇଁ ସେ 15 ଲକ୍ଷ
ଏଠି ଦୋକାନଟା ବନ୍ଦ ଅଛି ଆଗରୁ କୁକୁଡ଼ା ଦୋକାନ ଥିଲା ତାପରେ କଣ ଦୋକାନ ହେଇଥିଲା ମୋବାଇଲ କୁକୁଡ଼ା ଭଲ ତାପରେ ଆଉ କିଛି ଖୋଲୁନି
ବୁଢା ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟର
ବୁଢା
ଷାଠିଏଟା କୋଉଟା ହେଇଗଲା ନା? ଦି ମିନିଟ୍ ଲାଗିବ ମତେ। ଷାଠିଏଟା କରିବୁ କେତେ ମିନିଟ୍ ହଳଦୀ ଲାଗିବ? 2 ମିନିଟ୍ ଲାଗିବ। ତା ଭିତରେ ପୁଣି କଲର ଆଉ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ମିକ୍ସ ଅଛି। ନା ସେଗୁଡ଼ା କରିବ ବାକି କରିବ ବସିକି। ବାଛିବ ନା ବଛା ହେଇକି ରଖିଛି। କଣ ବାଛିବ? ଗୋଟେ ପିଡ଼ିଏଫ ଅଛି। ଗୋଟେ ପିଡ଼ିଏଫ ଅଛି। ଗୋଟେ ପିଡ଼ିଏଫ ପୁରା ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ବାହାରିବ। ଦିଥର 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 ଦିଟା ମାନେ 30 ହଁ 30 ବାହାରିଗଲା। ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ବାହାରିଗଲା। ଆଉ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ଯୋଉ କଲରଟା ଦିଟା ପେଜ୍ ଅଛି। ସେ ଦିଟା ବାହାରିବ। ଜାଣିଛ କୋଉ ପେଜ୍ ଜାଣିଛ? କେତେ ନମ୍ବର ପେଜ୍ ଜାଣିଛ? ଭିଡିଓ କେତେ ନମ୍ବର ପେଜ୍? ମୁଁ ପୁରା ଅଲଗା କରିକି ରଖିଛି। ଏଟା ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ଆମ ରିପୋର୍ଟ ଯୋଉ ୟୁନିଭର୍ସିଟି ରିପୋର୍ଟ ସିଙ୍ଗଲ ପେଜ୍ ର ଆଗ ପଛ ସିଙ୍ଗଲ ପେଜ୍ ର ନା ଆଗ ପଛ? ନା ନା ସିଙ୍ଗଲ ପେଜ୍। ଏଇଟା ଏଇଟା 29 ପେଜ୍ 5 ପେଜ୍ ଏଇଟା ଦିଟା ବାହାରିବ। କୋଉଟା ଦିଟା ବାହାରିବ? ହଁ ଇଏ ଦିଟା ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍। ହଁ ସବୁ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍। କଲର କୋଉଟା ବାହାରିବ? କଲର ପଠେଇଛି। ଦିଟା ବାହାରିବ ଦିଟା ନା 58 ପଠେଇଦେଲା। 58 ଅଧା କେତେ? ତମେ ପଠେଇଥିଲ କେତେ ପେଜ୍ ଥିଲା? ତମେ ପଠେଇଥିଲ କେତେ ପେଜ୍ ଥିଲା? କେତେଟା? 29 ଦୁନେ 58 ଏଇଟା ଲେଖିଲା ତମେ 58 ଭୁଲ ଲେଖିବନି ହେଲା। 29 ଦିନ 58 ଦିଟା ବାହାରିଲା। ପାଞ୍ଚ ଦିନ 10 58 10 68 ନାଇଁ ନର୍ମାଲ କଲର କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ। ନର୍ମାଲ ଅଏଲ ପକେଇଲେ ମାନେ ପଛ ପେଜଟା କିନ୍ତୁ ନର୍ମାଲ ପେପର ବାହାରିବ। ତମର କଣ ଦରକାର? ଏଇଟା ଅଏଲ ଦରକାର ପଛ ଯୋଉ ଫଟୋ ପେଜଟା ସେଇଟା ନର୍ମାଲ ପେପର। ଆସିବ। ଡାଉନଲୋଡ୍ ଆଉ ଏଟା ପ୍ରିଣ୍ଟ ଆଉଟ୍। ଗୋଟେ ବାହାରିବ ଦିଟା ଗୋଟେ ଅଏଲ ବାହାରିବ ଗୋଟେ ମାନେ ନର୍ମାଲ ବାହାରିବ। କେତେ ସେଟ୍ ହବ? ସେଟ୍ କେତେ ହବ? ଦିଟା ଗୋଟେ ନର୍ମାଲ ଏଇଟା କେତେ ବାହାରିବ? ଦିଟା ବାହାରିବ। ଗୋଟେ ବାହାରିବ ଅଏଲ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ବାହାରିବ ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ପେଜଟା ଦିଟା ଅଏଲ ବାହାରିବ। ଗୋଟେ କଲର ଗୋଟେ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ହ୍ୱାଇଟ୍ ମାନେ ନର୍ମାଲ ନର୍ମାଲ କଣ ନର୍ମାଲ ଏଥର ଆସିଲା କୋଉଠୁ? କଣ କହୁଛି ଟିକେ ନର୍ମାଲ କଣ ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ଅଏଲ ବାହାରିବ ଆଉ ଗୋଟେ ନର୍ମାଲ ପେପର ହଁ ଆଉ ସେଟାକୁ ଗୋଟେ ସେଟା ଦିଟା ଯାକରେ ଅଏଲଟା ପଡ଼ିବ 30 ଟଙ୍କା ହେଲା ନର୍ମାଲଟା ପଡ଼ିବ 10 ଟଙ୍କା ହେଲା। ଆଜ୍ଞା ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ପ୍ଲେସ୍ ବି ସେଇଭଳିଆ ହବ। ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ପ୍ଲେସଟା ଦିଟା ଯାକ ନର୍ମାଲ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ।
हाँ वो छाड़ दीजिए ना वो देख लो। हाँ 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 अच्छे आ गया आ गया। ଗୋଟେ ଖାଲି oil problem କଥା ପଚାରି ପାରିବେ ଆଉ ବାକି
ଆଉ
ହେଲା
ସବୁ ନର୍ମାଲ ହେଇଯିବ।
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ହଁ କୁହନ୍ତୁ। ନା ବୁକିଂ ସିଏ ଭାଇ ଆଇଟିଆଇ ପଡ଼ିବ ସିଏ ଆଇଟିଆଇ ପଡ଼ିବନି। ହଁ ଆଇଟିଆଇ ନହେଲେ ଡିପ୍ଲୋମା ପଡ଼ିବ ସାଇନ୍ସ ପଢ଼ି କାଇଁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ କାଇଁ ଡିପ୍ଲୋମା କରିବ ନହେଲେ ଆଇଟିଆଇ କରିବ ନହେଲେ ତାଙ୍କ ଗାଁ କଲେଜରେ ପଢ଼ିବ ତାହେଲେ ମୁଁ ପ୍ରାଇଭେଟ୍ କଲେଜ ପଢ଼ିବି ତ ଆକୁ ଗଲେ। ନା ନା ମେଟ୍ରିକ୍ ପରେ ଡିପ୍ଲୋମା ଅଛି ଆସୁନୁ ବୁଝେଇଦେବି। ଲାଭ ନହେଲେ କେସି ବୁଝିବ ମୁଁ କାଇଁ ମିଶିଯିବି ଏତେ। ହଁ ହଁ ତ ପଚାରନ୍ତୁ କଣ କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଭାଇ ସେ ତାଙ୍କ କଥା କିଏ କେତେବେଳେ କଣ କହୁଛି।
ସେଇଟା ନର୍ମାଲ ପେପର ଗୋଟେ କାଢିଦେବେ।
କିଛି
କାଢିଦେବେ ସେ ବ୍ଲାକ୍ ପେପର
ନେଇଯିବେ।